Glenn Clark Radio, talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no, stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio.
Seasons haven't gone to plan. The last couple of seasons have not gone to plan. And there have been shortcomings, and ultimately those are my responsibility. But this is a very hard game. We cannot succeed all the time, and we must keep going when things aren't going our way. And I think ultimately the proof is going to be in what happens in the results. So we make moves like this. We want these players to come in, do well, and bring our team to where we want to go, which is in the playoffs. So the fact that we're trading Adley for minor league players is not a declaration of setting back our timeline. It's about making moves to enhance the level of talent in the organization, and we want to continue to win in the near terms. It's a balancing act when you're in my position, and at this point in time, at this deadline, I made the decision to make this trade, and it's because of the talent that we're getting back.
Let me say it about as simply as I can in response to Mike Elias, and I understand. I don't know that anybody discussed the possibility of Adley Rutschman being traded more than this show did over the course of the last couple of months. I understand. I think a lot of people believe that the Baltimore Orioles did well in the context of trading Adley Rutschman and think they got a good haul in return for Adley Rutschman. All of that can be true. And from a Pythagorean model standpoint, you can even defend, while I'm puzzled by the decision to trade Tyler Wells, a starting pitching prospect with lots of control is always going to be more valuable from a Pythagorean model standpoint than a reliever with 1 year of control. You can defend all of that, all of it. The simple question is, when is the timeline for the Orioles to be capable of contending? Has Mike Elias earned the right to continue stewarding the Orioles? And do you trust that he's capable of making the moves necessary if the idea behind acquiring more talent was to then use it as assets instead of sitting and waiting the 2 to 3 years for that group of players to come to fruition? And I think it's more than a little fair to say that there is good reason to have doubt about it. And that when we look at it macro versus micro, the micro can be that the Orioles had an understandable day at the deadline. They're not a very good team. Adley Rutschman was a year away. You got a very good return for him. You can understand all of that. But on the surface level, the question becomes, how did you get here, and how are you fixing it? And I think that's where the problems begin. The problems begin when you realize you don't know what the answer is to fixing it. There is no obvious path towards fixing it. And part of the reason there's no obvious path is because there isn't a track record that proves the people that are making the decisions are going to be able to get the team over the hump. Good morning. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. And I've used the word complicated an awful lot over the past 18 hours because it's genuinely how I feel. We live in a society that wants everything to be a win or a loss. My friend Chad Dukes always, it's goat or trash, right? Like everything is that simple. It is not that simple. Period. It's not that simple. It's an incredibly nuanced conversation that we are dealing with in terms of what happened yesterday and the big picture look of where the Orioles are. And there's a lot of math that you can't make math, right? You can't make math. Why are you trading Tyler Wells and not trading Trevor Rogers? How does that make sense?
Deal wasn't there.
And the answer, it seems to me, and Mike Elias perhaps can't say it this directly, but the answer seems to be the simple Pythagorean model that I always refer to. That when it comes to Trevor Rogers, the offer had to be more than a half a year of Trevor Rogers and the compensatory pick that they're going to get, what they believe the value is of the compensatory pick that they'll get when they put the qualifying offer on him after the season is over. And if the offers that they had, he didn't believe were greater than that, then he wasn't going to trade him. That's the best I can come up with. Tyler Wells, Pythagorean model, it makes complete... I am befuddled by the Tyler Wells thing. Befuddled by it. If you at all are still trying to compete, your bullpen is a disaster. It's a disaster. You have one guy that you have any real faith in at the moment, Yennier Cano. You had two because Tyler Wells had been great. Now, Rico Garcia had been good earlier in the year. Anthony Nunez has been good at times. Grant Wolfram has been good at times. But there was one other guy besides Cano that you had faith in Tyler Wells. And it's not just a problem for the rest of this season, which even if you say, hey, if you say this season's a wash, all good, then again, defend not trading Trevor Rogers. And it would have to be simply nobody offered anything, which would be wild to me, Jack. That would be wild. Or they value these compensatory picks so highly that it skews the way that they look at a return. Well, this return is good, but you don't understand what we think what would it be, 34th, 35th, 36th pick in the draft? You don't understand what we think that's worth. We think that's worth even more. Look, the emotions that people have tied to Adley Rutschman, I get it. I understand. I do. I really do understand. I am at least empathetic, if not downright sympathetic. Like, I have felt that feeling for kids. Like, my kids are crushed. Actually, they don't know yet because they're at camp. Maybe somebody told them. They're going to be crushed. They love Adley Rutschman. They're going to be crushed by it. But I that alone to me is just an unfortunate consequence. We talked about this with John Oliver and his son and Pete Alonso, right? Like it's part of being you sign up to be a baseball fan, you're going to deal with heartbreak. There's going to be heartbreak. And in a weird way, it is a good lesson for kids. Going through the heartbreak of losing a baseball player is on the shallow end of the heartbreak that you're going to deal with in life. You're going to deal with real heartbreak, gutting heartbreat in life.
Don't. My grief, this is real.
Griffin,
okay.
I understand. You're a special boy, and we love you. We're going to bring in a puppy later.
Oh, we will?
I wish.
Okay. That'll help. That would really help.
We really should look into an office puppy.
John?
Go a long way. That part I understand. But again, I can make this make sense. I can. I've been making it make sense for 2 months. And truth be told, and you can ask some of the folks I was texting with in the days leading up to this around baseball, I think the Orioles did better than I thought they could do. I think the Orioles did better than most people in baseball thought they could do. Now, part of that is the tax that you have to pay because Adley Rutschman's a Boston Red Sox, and you're going to have to deal with that. Like, that's going to be real. And also, part of that is, part of the tax the Orioles paid was lower-level prospects. Yes, they're outstanding prospects, but they're not close. You can get a greater haul from guys that are further away. It's sort of like when I joke, hey, I'll make plans for December. There might not be a December. It's easier to trade away guys that are further away, even if you think highly of them, because they're not real. It's not actualized. I can justify it. I can justify all of it. But when are the Orioles supposed to compete? Because they signed Pete Alonso, and they signed Shane Baz, and they signed Kyle Bradish. They didn't trade away Jackson Holiday. Not that I think they should have. They obviously signed Samuel Basallo. There's a core. We can question some of that core. We can debate, is there enough on the high end of that core? Gunnar Henderson, we think, is still part of that core. I mean, we think. But admittedly, as people have pointed out, if he doesn't sign, then they're going to be in the same spot with him next year, if there is a next year. When is the timetable? And I can say that it is plausible that this group of players, one of the things we talked about with the idea of trading Adley Rutschman or trading Trevor Rogers, that this group of assets that you got back is what helps you in going out and getting the pieces you need. Now, there's awkwardness related to that because, again, is there going to be a season next year? Is there going to be a normal offseason? Will you have the full amount of time necessary in order to try to use those assets to acquire players? Will there be a robust period of trades, or will there be essentially no offseason? Then when they finally work this thing out, there's going to be like 3 weeks to ramp up and get ready for the year to start, and that doesn't really give you the time that you need to map this thing out and find trade partners for the assets that you just acquired. But you can do it that way. I think one of the disappointing parts of what you heard from Mike Elias last night was that you didn't hear, we are going to fix this now. If you just take what they did on paper, it does look like another rebuild. Narvaez is a major league piece, Hoppy's a major league piece, but neither of them are terribly helpful. Narvaez is going to catch now, and as they're now openly admitting, Samuel Basallo isn't a full season catcher. I guess they think Carlos Narvaez is going to be catching more in the future, perhaps, or maybe that's Creed Willems. I don't know what that ultimately looks like, but that was a hell of a thing to just admit, the thing that we've speculated about, and that I've believed they don't think that Samuel Basallo is that. To just openly say it was kind of wild. But that it didn't include the words, listen, we are going to fix this. Everyone in this organization, from ownership down, is hell-bent that we are going to fix it. And we made the moves that we needed to make today, but we are going to fix this immediately. We are going to do everything we need, spend the assets that are necessary in order to fix it. And that, would it have made everybody feel more comfortable? Would you have believed him? Would you have doubted his ability to do it? Perhaps. But it would have at least been nice to hear. It would have been nice. And that wasn't what was said. Again, I can make sense. I can make sense individually. I can make sense even as much as I struggle with the Tyler Wells one. I just don't get it. I don't get it. But I can make sense from a Pythagorean model, which I understand is how every front office operates now. It is a sheer value proposition question. What to us is more valuable? If we can get more value, let's do it. I understand that's the way it works, whether I like it or not. But I still have a lot of questions about, so when is the team supposed to compete now? And what is the plan to get it there? And I don't know the answers to that. Later on in the program, Sam Dykstra, MLB Network, MLB.com, and MLB Pipeline will join us. We will learn more about the prospects the Orioles acquired at the deadline yesterday. I will get to your responses, your thoughts, as I'm seeing them come in. I promise that we will get to you, but we don't want to make this man wait because, he's just one of our favorite human beings on the face of the planet. It was great to see him back in town this weekend celebrating with Chris Davis. Always a pleasure to spend a couple of minutes with former Orioles manager, the great Buck Showalter, back with us now here on GCR. Buck, it's Glenn. Good morning, sir. Thank you for taking the time for us, as always. Oh, Buck, we got you. Do you hear us all right? Did he freeze up? Oh, man. All right. Of course. Yeah. Nailed it. Stuck the landing there. I promise we're going to get the Buck Showalter. That's going to happen. Buck, do you hear me okay? Oh, you're on mute, Buck. We got to get you off mute. It's all right. These things happen. Best laid plans of mice and men. We'll figure it out. Buck Showalter versus technology. It's going to be the next show that we do.
Buck, I think you're on mute if you're able to unmute yourself. There we go.
Let's see if we can't get Buck in here. Oh, man. I appreciate it. The effort that's going into this. I love Buck. Hey, Buck Showalter.
We are cooking with grease, man.
Man.
Did you expect anything else?
Did not expect anything at all. For you, we'll wait an eternity. That's a promise, my friend.
I guarantee you, when Griffin saw the AOL email address, he went, come on. It works. All I look for is to send it and receive.
Hey, man, I
don't need any of the bells and whistles.
Functionality, that's all I ask for as well. People always ask me about the cars I drive. I say, does it get me where I need to go? That's literally the only thing that I am concerned with. That's it.
I want one of those old pickup trucks. I'm talking about back in the 40s and 50s.
Ooh.
My wife wants to put it up on the hill and put a Christmas tree in the back of it,
But you want to just drive it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
How many people you think in your listening audience know how to drive a standard shift, Glenn?
Can I? I am in the company of the people that this is such an embarrassing sentence that I'm about to say. My late father-in-law's wife, his wife, attempted to teach me how to drive a stick because he found out late in his life that I did not know how to drive a stick. And I had a great relationship with my late father-in-law, man. One of the greatest men I've ever known. We were very close. And the shame that he felt in figuring out that I didn't know how to drive a stick, he said, we're going to have to fix that. And when he passed away, his wife wanted to continue that. I can't do it, Buck. I cannot do it. Stalled out.
Mine was 3 in the tree, 3 on the column. And then you had 4 in the floor. I learned how to drive mine with the drag for our infield that was all skin. And we used to had a long plank with spikes down in it, and I would drive the pickup truck around in circles to drag the field. Okay, we're done.
No, wait a second. That's probably a better way to teach someone how to drive stick than it is to do it when I stalled out in the middle of a major road. That wasn't a great thing to have happen in that.
Well, there was a cemetery behind me too. I got to go make a couple of loops there.
That's helpful. That's probably where I should have gone.
But I still had some issues.
There might have been a few people that were visiting someone in the cemetery that were a little confused.
Glenn, I grew up when clutch meant something else. Now they don't have clutch hitters. A clutch was something you push so you could shift gears.
I understand. Buck, I got so much. First of all, it was great to have you back in town this weekend. And I know we've talked about Chris a lot, but I would say just the whole group of you. And now you guys have been able to do this a couple of times with those players from 2012 to 2016. I know it's not winning a World Series and the reunions that come from that, but knowing how special it was, what you guys did here, when you all get back together, and Zach and Adam and Brad and Darren, and what does that mean to you to reflect on those moments?
My wife and I were talking about it on the way home, and you'd like to think that happens, but it doesn't. Now you got to have some success, some form of success for it to really bond. But I think a lot of organizations miss what happens when you keep a group together and they grow together. The Scotes, the Machados, the Adam Jones. I mean, he was a young guy when I got there, and Chris Davis and Weeders, and all of a sudden you form this bond together. The wives were close, the families were close. They traveled, they stayed together, and just sitting there. T.J. McFarland was there.
Mm.
Okay, Scott Coolbaugh, the hitting coach, was there. Just to sit there, and a lot of the support people they got let go with the new general manager. They all came back because the way the players treated them, and everybody was pulling on a rope, and it really made me feel good just to look around and watch them interact with each other again, because it was a special group. But it can be done. We were talking about the bullpen. There was Zach, and there was Brock, and there's Jim Johnson, and there's Darren O'Day and Tommy Hunter. By the way, Tommy Hunter should be on TV. The presentation speech at the luncheon he gave for Chris brought the house down.
That's awesome.
Okay, that was impressive. I was really it was kind of sad that nobody there from the field staff or the front office, the upper, nobody was there for the luncheon. We always went to that. I don't know what that was about. I really don't want to hear that it was a trade deadline. There's always been a trade deadline.
Yeah,
that was strange.
I don't disagree with you. That is a little bit odd that's the way that it worked out. I don't know what that says to us. But can I ask this generically, right? Like, because I don't know that there's a correct answer to this question, but when we talk about the trade deadline, there's this question of, hey, when you make these decisions, do you need to go address the team? Do you need to? And I don't know how you as a manager handled this, or if there is a right answer. There's a group of guys, I'm sure, in Baltimore right now that are deflated because Adley Rutschman was a very popular personality and a really popular guy. Like, do you want the GM? Do you want the owner to come talk to the team, explain it to them? Do you say, look, they've got nothing to do with what we're doing in here, I'll handle that? Like, what is the correct answer if there is one?
Well, every GM's different. Some people have the people skills and feel comfortable in a locker room. There's a lot of GMs that don't really feel comfortable in that environment. Let's say you didn't make any deal. I see some people chirping around. I noticed that Harper had said something. I remember walking in one time and go, yeah, we could have made that deal for the guy you wanted, but it was for you.
Mm-hmm.
It was for you. Or had you ever stopped to think that maybe we have so much confidence in you guys? You've got to think about the weight your words carry and the way it reflects on your teammates. When you say we need this, we got to be active, you're saying that we're not very good at that position in this locker room. That's something you can't let go on. And because sometimes the best deals you make are the ones you don't make. All these prospect lists and number 15 and number 12 and number 17. Come on,
I know. Yeah, I get it.
Who makes those lists?
Right.
Now, that was an independent group composed of boots on the ground scouts that know what they're looking at and don't have any political agenda, and basically are just evaluating the talent on and off the field, and put this together. It'd be a little more. But now it seems like a lot of the GMs want to see how many guys next to their name can be number 12, number 8, number 7, number 15. I'm not there. I want to talk to somebody that actually knows what they're looking at.
Well, and I'd measure a general manager on the success. That to me is the answer to the question.
What's the end game? What's the end game? A lot of when you see 3 18-year-old guys come back, that means that you're not going to be held accountable for that sometimes for like 2 or 3 years before anybody goes, hey, what happened to that guy? Oh, wait, we got the number 8 prospect, a 19-year-old kid. Wait a minute, 3 years later, where is he?
Buck, what does it do to a clubhouse? Like, what does it do to a group of guys when they go through something like this? This is a team right now, the Orioles, that are still 2.5 games out of a playoff spot. And I'm not trying to oversell that. They're 4 games under 500, right? They are what they are. But they still presumably want to keep trying, this group. What does this do? What is the impact? What is the effect of it?
Well, a couple of them have been through it before, but the first time you go through it, for a lot of guys, the first time they really hits them between the eyes what a business it is. and they kind of go, wow, and we tried to really stay away from that part of it as much as possible. I hated the cut days down in spring training because it brought such a sterile feeling to the workout and what we were trying to build. But you know, one thing you learn, Glenn, is the game moves on with or without you. You're a ship passing the night, and they're gonna mourn you, and they're not gonna dwell on it too long. It's a pretty cold world there. What have you done for me lately, and how can you help me today? And a lot of GMs don't feel comfortable coming down and having those conversations. They leave it up to the manager, and so it's having a feel for your locker room.
Right.
Do they need that? Do they not need it? You got a guy like Pete Alonso who's been through it countless times with every rumor known to man in New York, and it's not the end of any movement of players. You just have to acquire waivers. This is not. People act like it's a trade deadline and nothing else is going to happen. I think some of their eligibility for the playoffs depends on it too. So there's still some player movement going to happen.
Buck Showalter is with us here on GCR. Buck, it feels like there is something more seismic here when it's like an Adley Rutschman, when it's someone who was a 1-1 overall pick, and that feels greater than just trading a player or a pending free agent. It feels like the impact of that is more significant. Did it shock you as much as it shocked a lot of people around baseball, the idea that this was the guy that was maybe a centerpiece that just for whatever reason it didn't work? Some of that he wasn't maybe quite as great. I don't know. It just feels shocking, I feel like, to a lot of people that someone like that is on the move.
Well, you kind of lose a little bit of your identity of who you are. We're this young. We didn't play well for a long period of time, so that in some cases, we could get these draft picks.
Yeah.
But you look at this. Okay, he's getting close to having to really pay him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the other part of the equation is you think you have a guy that's as good, if not better. Okay, and now I hope he can stay on the field and stay healthy. That's another part of the equation, that you have that honest talk. Is this a guy going to be a guy that's going to be able to stay on the field?
Basayo, obviously.
That was the thing about Matt Wieters. Wieters posted up.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Markakis posted up. Adam Jones posted up. Davis, Scope, Machado, Hardy. These guys posted up. They played. And that's a skill too, Glenn. That's a skill. And you better look at that game's played before you acquire a player, because that's something that usually doesn't change. That's one of the things I told Brandon Nimmo. I said, you got one thing left to keep you from getting a contract. You play 100 games a year.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. Nobody's going to commit to you. And he solved that problem. He did.
It's interesting because that, I think, is part of the conversation about Adley at this point as well. I guess let me ask it on the flip side, right? Because I think there's a lot of people around the Red Sox that say, wow, this is a heck of a price to pay. You allude to questioning these prospect rankings, but 3 of the top 5 guys in your system for, an off-injured catcher. I am always the type that says, man, when you've got a chance, I'll always be in favor as a fan, as an analyst of, if it costs you too much, so be it. Go take the chance. I know Dan was talking recently about the trade for Andrew Miller. I'll never second guess that, right? Like, Andrew Miller was awesome.
I loved the guy we gave up. When Dan told me who he gave up, I went, oh man, that hurts.
Yeah.
Andrew Miller, my biggest complaint about Miller is we didn't sign him.
Right.
We should have kept him.
Well, it was one of the worst off seasons I'll ever remember between Heat Cruz and Markakis. That was gutting.
Don't get me going.
Right.
That hurt. But it's like it's about the Scooble trade. Don't be mad at the Dodgers. Just about everybody could have put a package together to get him. Just about everybody. Okay, so why are you mad at the Dodgers for doing what other people could have done? Now, I can tell you one thing: if the Dodgers win it all again, which they might, I can tell you one thing: the lockout potentially coming just got a lot of fuel. Just got a lot of fuel if they win again.
I wanted to talk to you about that, because I remember you bringing that up to me before the season began, that concept of if the Dodgers win it all. And I have felt a lot more of that in the aftermath of the Scooble deal. And I don't disagree with what you said. The package the Dodgers gave up, you're right. I think a lot of teams could have given that up. The argument would be that the Dodgers' advantages financially help them absorb risk greater than other teams can. Hey, if this one doesn't work out, if those players we traded go on to be really good, all good, we're just going to go sign someone else. We don't.
They'll get more prospects.
Correct.
Prospects, but okay, then fix the system. My point is that I think it's going to do a lot for the owners' vision of what they want baseball to look like.
Yeah.
I think the players, they'd rather see Tampa Bay win than the Dodgers win. Okay, because I don't know, public sentiment after if and when the Dodgers win it all,
Yeah.
is going to be, hey, this is not. We got to fix the system. It's the same thing with the NIL going on in college football. Everybody says we got to do something to fix the system. Well, then what is it?
Yeah, no one has a solution. Correct.
I've never seen the owners this much together. I think I don't want to talk about 20. It's painful.
Buck, this is an interesting conversation because I'm starting to sense what you're starting to sense is I don't know that fans are pro-owner in any way, right? And like I think a lot of fans would say we think the owners might even be colluding to try to pull this off. We don't like the owners.
Yeah, I heard that conspiracy theory that they let this trade happen so that it would set up their point better. I heard that one.
I mean, I think that fans feel that way, but at the same time, I think that the result that you're talking about, I start to sense the more baseball fans I talk to that say, look, man, if it does cost time next year, we're not even going to be mad anymore because this just has to be fixed. Right. It feels like a consumer protection issue at this point.
Thing. I hope the players aren't underestimating how the fans actually feel about this issue. I think they're as concerned about the floor as they are the ceiling.
Well, and to me, I don't think I'm anti-player. I think I want the owners to spend the money. Like I want them, but I want it to be distributed in a more even way and create more competitive balance in that place. This is not me rooting for the owners to make more money. I don't want that. I want every city to wake up and feel like they have life and opportunity going into every season and excitement and not thinking about tanking. That's what I'm looking for in this process. I don't know. Can it be done? Is it possible that this can work out, or is it going to be such a fight for the players to say, sorry, we just don't care about that?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see where the union, how much they stay together on this. I know in 94 or 95, worst time in baseball. I just wish somebody before they pull the plug on season next year, if they do, talks to people from that 94 strike. It was awful. It wasn't bad. It was awful. And it was 94. And it took us about 3/4 of the season, almost the playoffs against Seattle, to get the fan base back.
Right, that one-game playoff, yeah.
It took a long time to get them back.
And obviously Cal helped and, the home run chase and all. But I think your point is well taken. Would it be worse 94 because there was great stories and everybody thinks about the Expos and would it be worse than then? Would it be maybe more palatable now because you wouldn't start the season and then call it off?
I don't know. This is uncharted territory for me, and I know fans hate even hearing it talked about. We had a lockout in 22 for a little while in spring training.
Yeah,
wasn't allowed to talk to the players. That was my first year at the Mets. That was what a way to start, not knowing anybody. When's Westburg come back? I think a lot of people have forgotten how much a part of that team he was. He's a good player.
I don't disagree with that, Buck. I think he provided them something they didn't have, which is just a natural hitter. I also think like the outfield is a bigger part of the conversation than we're talking about, which is like it's bleak. And I don't want to pile on Colton Cowser because he's incredibly likable, and when he plays well, his skills are the types of skills. He's an incredible defensive outfielder. And when he's hitting, but it's so rare that he's hitting that it really costs them to put him out there every day, and they just haven't been able to make up for it. I don't think people realize how bleak it is now and how few answers they seem to have in the outfield.
Yeah. Sometimes it can require some position change to get that taken care of. Is it easier? Where are your prospects? Where are your people that you think can play in a big league? I've said many times, one of the greatest things that Gene Michael with the Yankees, when I was with him, Gene admitted when he made a mistake. That was one of his greatest attributes. He goes, boys, we whiffed on that one. Let's move on. Let's don't compound the problem. And he also talked about identifying your suspects as opposed to your prospects. And then he would propaganda the suspects to trade them. Oh my gosh, this guy's great. I remember you'd get players from the Dodgers after seeing them in those bright white, red, and blue trim, and you get them and they go, man, they don't look as good in our uniform. So, to be able to pick and really be honest with yourself about who's really a prospect and who's really a player, and have people, boots on the ground, people in your minor leagues that know what they're looking at. I was lucky. I had Brady Anderson, I had BJ Surhoff, I had Mike Bordick, I had Scotty McGregor. We had we had guys traveling around and really knew what it looked like. And hey, I know what everybody's saying about this guy, but I don't think the it factor is there. And I always remembered that. We used to talk about that. And by the way, Brady's going to be at the ballpark next 3 days.
That's right, with the Angels, including Grayson Rodriguez is pitching tonight, by the way, for the Angels against the Orioles. Could Jackson Holliday be the answer in the outfield, Buck?
I'm not close enough to it. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Maybe if you got somebody that you really like at second base, or you got somebody you really like at third base, maybe Westbrook could go out there. I don't know. You got to think out of the box sometime. But if that's who you are and that's how you're going to put your club together, sometimes, Glenn, you just got to run them out there and close your eyes. You really do at some point, and go, okay, let them sink or fail. And you're also saying, okay, I'm going to sink or fail too. We weren't sure what John Scope was going to do. We weren't sure what Manny Machado was going to do. I can go on and on. At some point you got to go, hey, we're going. But you also have a safety net for them. You need to have a little bit of a safety net for them.
I'm going to ask you this question, Buck, and I'm going to acknowledge it's a leading question because I know that you're not going to be critical, and so I think that your opinion would be this is silly. So I want to get your perspective on it because I think I know what the answer is. There were Orioles fans yesterday who were bothered that in the midst of the trade deadline, Craig Albernaz was out hanging out at Ravens practice and taking pictures and seemingly having fun. And you can't get me to get worked up about these things, right? Like, this is baseball now. As you know all too well, managers' involvement in these types of decisions has never been lesser. Like, there's never been a day where they've had less involvement in the decisions that are made. And so I just don't care. God bless that Craig Albernaz is trying to get to know Baltimore and be around and those types of things. Can you offer any perspective about the role of a manager these days on trade deadline day and why it maybe doesn't matter that Craig Albernaz was hanging out at Ravens practice?
The only thing I'll say is, you always got to think about, I always harp with our guys about presentation. Does it really mean anything? No. Is it really, I would go out to the Ravens. I'd go out in the offseason. I'd go in the offseason. I used to love to sit in the end zone with Ozzie and talk about Alabama football and what they look for in players. There's a reason why Ozzie and John were so successful. They were on the same page, and the best organizations are connected at the hip with the manager.
What a thought.
And, that's the ones that when they each got a stake in it. But I think, we're in a world where the GMs and the front office just want the manager to manage I don't know. Sometimes they don't manage the game. They just, I guess, manage the clubhouse. But, that's the world that you live in. And, but, it's like Gene Michael and John Hart and different GMs used to talk about their presentation. Yeah, they'd like to go to a spring training game in a T-shirt and gym shorts, but they're the general manager of the Texas Rangers or the New York Yankees or the Baltimore Orioles, and they think about their presentation, how it's going to look to the fans. So that's the only thing I would say. You got to think about the arteries of your decisions to do things and how they reflect on other people.
Only because we haven't caught up in a couple of months. Before I let you go, I want to know, after seeing ABS, do you want more of it or less of it?
I have no problem with it. Let's get it right. Can you imagine watching college football or pro football and not having replay? It's almost part of the entertainment package.
We saw this, by the way, with Skip Schumacher the other day, where they were out of challenges. There was a terrible strike 3 call. I mean, not even close, and he still got ejected. And I just keep coming back to why can't we just get it right?
Well, the other one, I believe that you should have the ability to have maybe a check swing call, whether you have 2, 3, only in the ninth inning. Fans hate when a game is decided by a check swing. And first of all, we'd have to decide what a check swing is and not,
Yeah,
but then can you imagine being able to actually correct those wrongs? Okay, where game ends. And the other thing, it's really taken the vindictiveness away from umpires. These guys, I've heard some of them go, well, I'm leaving after this year. I'm leaving. Okay,
good.
go
Right.
ahead.
You're the wrong guy.
Yeah, these guys, especially the young guys coming up, they've got an idea. They're used to working with it and everything. And there's some veteran guys that are very good at it, have been exposed to what we already knew, how good they were.
Mm-hmm.
You ask people in the dugout, they'll tell you exactly who's a good ball strike guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. It's really hard. They need the help now and then. But I'm all for it. I want to get everything right, especially in the playoffs. Orioles are only 2 games out in the loss column. And they're going to have to finish over 500 to get in the playoffs, but be careful about counting them out. They got a chance.
Are you hanging out at home for a little while? You back here?
I'm in Maryland till
Yeah.
the end of August. We come up here for a couple of months. We've got a little, what do they call them? Farmettes? I don't know what they call it. But my son's up here with his family. And I talked to Brady last night. Of course, Brady never gets sick. He's actually got a cold. I've never seen him sick before.
Maybe the healthiest human being I've ever seen in my life, and we've all.
Well, he called me a couple times and said, "Man, this everyday coaching, 7 days a week, 7 months. Oh my gosh." Brady was great. I tell you, he was such a contributor. He was so blatantly honest and frank and blunt with the players, and they loved it. There was no sugarcoating. What an asset he was for us.
It was actually really cool talking to Trey after he played, and like he was getting kind of emotional talking about Brady's role and what Brady.
It was a big deal. Our off season, we didn't get surprised in spring training by something. We had a number of guys that would go stay with Brady on the West Coast at his house.
It's wild.
And work out for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And we knew, and there would be another group go in there. And they loved going there with Brady because they would work and they got better. And we were not surprised by things. He was a big cog for us.
Buck Showalter, we could do this for hours. I always love you, brother. Appreciate you taking the time. I'm gonna hit you up. I'd love to get together before you head out of town. All right.
All right, Glenn. I appreciate it. Hey, Griff, thanks for having me, you guys.
Thank you, sir. The great Buck Showalter, spending time with us. I mean this. You're not gonna get me to care that Craig Alpernaz was hanging out at Ravens practice yesterday. You can't get me to care about that. I'm sorry. I can't. There's things that matter. There's things that don't matter.
But we appreciate Jerry having a video as the Taylor Ward trade broke.
Yeah, right. Jerry Coleman. I think somebody got video of Taylor Ward at his camp. Taylor Ward was across the street from us yesterday as this was all going on, doing a camp at Calvert Hall. And I think someone got, maybe not video, but pictures of him getting the call and having to walk away. You're not going to get me to get worked up about it. And part of that is, look, if you want me to be worked up about something, I'll be worked up about a system where managers have so little involvement and so little say in these decisions. That bothers me greatly. I do not like that one bit. But unfortunately, that's the reality. And with that being the reality, is Craig Alpernaz just supposed to, be in a bunker somewhere?
I know, what if someone saw him on the harbor, I guess.
I don't know what is acceptable behavior. I understand we were all going through it yesterday.
He was at the Maryland Zoo yesterday. What if? Yeah,
what our emotions were real, but we still had to go to work. We still had things. I
was going to call out today.
Oh, were you thinking about that because you were so despondent about it? How great is it for you when Buck says your name?
It's pretty cool.
I know it. I know it is. I know it is. Griffin and I had this conversation recently, and it was hilarious. What he gets excited about. When I asked him, what have you been really excited about it? And it's always Buck. It's never any of the massive, unbelievable, Jaden Daniels, mega stars.
It's Kevin Harlan.
Yeah, right. It's just I love that. I love that about you. It's so cool that I get to talk to Buck. Yeah, I guess that's cool.
Or Billick, just
yeah. Is there news today? I believe there may be some news of significance, perhaps.
Yeah, I guess so.
Adam Schefter reports that Zay Flowers has reached an agreement on a 4-year, $140 million contract extension that includes a cool $108 million worth of guaranteed money. That's I don't know if there were actually ever any real fears about Zay Flowers departing. I think Zay Flowers has been such a critical piece that there was, I don't know. You would hear it. I know it's an insane.
Now, seeing those numbers,
$108 million guaranteed for a non-quarter. It's just a wild world. By the way, NFL's doing all right too. I understand the NFL players are all jealous of the baseball players, but I promise you, you can split money. You can. It can be done.
140 million's a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, that part, somebody would say that's a made-up number, but 108 million guaranteed is not a made-up number. That is Zay Flowers. No, if he doesn't catch another football, is getting $108 million. That's happening. That's a wild number. There is still a conversation to be had about, are you missing the true prototype number one receiver? Should you be throwing that number one receiver money at an undersized middle of the field? But Zay Flowers has been so wildly productive in Baltimore that it's hard to question it. It's very hard to dispute that. And this is what it costs when you have a wildly productive receiver. And the Ravens have theirs now locked up. 4-year deal for Zay Flowers, $140 million, 108 guaranteed. Decent work if you can find it. We continue along here on a Tuesday edition, a post-deadline edition of Glenn Clark Radio. If you haven't picked up the print issue of Press Box, it is available at your Baltimore area High's dairy stores. That's Kevin Brown on the cover. He didn't get dealt yesterday. He's very good at what he does. He's going to be around for a little bit. We think, we hope, although, hey, these national networks come swooping at any point because he's that good, obviously, when he does stuff for ESPN. But go pick that up for free and read it for free as well at PressBoxOnline.com. Let's find out more about what it is that the Orioles did acquire yesterday. Joining us now, you know him from MLB Pipeline, MLB.com, MLB Network. He is our friend Sam Dykstra, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Sam, it's Glenn here in Baltimore. Please, this would be the part where you say the Orioles pulled off the heist of the century. They've completely changed the way that we view them moving forward. You need to get over the fact that they lost Adley Rutschman. Is that what you have for me today?
I won't exactly put it in those words,
all right.
But I will say when news came in that the Red Sox were going after Adley Rutschman and you start to dream of what the package would look like, I didn't think it was going to be this good or this talented. This was clearly, I'm looking at it from both sides here. The Red Sox believe that they can continually develop pitching. They can just find the next version of Anthony Ianson and Kyson Witherspoon in their system. I'm not entirely sure those guys are there right now, but they are now in the Orioles system. And I think, at a time right now when I was looking at the Orioles system going into yesterday, Nate George has been out for much of the year with an illness, and Ike Irish just went down with a torn meniscus. You don't make moves just to replenish the farm system and because the top two guys are hurt, but it looks a whole lot better and a lot fresher and a lot more interesting today than it did 24 hours ago.
Let's talk about Ianson and Witherspoon. Are the Orioles, it's not like they haven't had any pitchers, but, they didn't draft them. They haven't really developed them. They've had to acquire them via trade. What they haven't had is surefire front line types of pitchers in their system. We thought that was what Grayson Rodriguez was, who ironically is pitching in Baltimore tonight for another team. He didn't prove to be that guy. Are these that type of pitching prospect? Legitimate, if these guys continue on this trajectory, they are front of the rotation types of pitchers.
I think Ianson is the closer of the two to that. He's number 49 on our top 100 right now. He's got a solid argument for being the breakout pitching prospect of the year across the industry. He's got a 1.32 ERA, 94 strikeouts, and only 68 in the third innings at high A and double A. he really opened a lot of eyes this spring. I mean, he was coming out of LSU, right? Big time program. He actually pitched in their national championship winning game over there in Omaha. He got the start for LSU in that one. So he was well known. But he was flashing triple digits heat in a spring breakout game, and everybody kind of sat up. I was at that game actually against the Orioles in Sarasota, and everybody in the stadium was just like, oh man, if he's throwing 100 now, like this is a serious pitching prospect. I will say he's kind of given back some of those velocity gains. He's sitting more now in like the low to mid 90s. But the slider, the curveball are two really special pitches with really good vertical action. He's added a splitter in pro ball, and that's given him something to give more of like a changeup look. And I think that really speaks to how well he's taken to pro instruction. Again, he's only a year into his pro development. Yeah, he's coming out of LSU, but like it's still early in his pro development that I think the Orioles are getting him at a good time. Obviously, he's got some momentum here. They can build on that, and he's certainly somebody who could factor into the rotation going into next year.
Wow.
I think why the Red Sox were willing to deal him, and this is a question we're going to face as we redo our top 100 here in a few weeks, is like how much do you care about him losing velocity as the season's gone on? So that makes it harder for me to say he's a true top of the line rotation type. He may be more of a number 3 if he's settling in closer to like 93 to 95 long term. But we know it's in the tank now, and we didn't think that a year ago at draft time. Kyson Witherspoon has kind of gone the other direction. He actually was the Red Sox first rounder last year out of Oklahoma, slipped a bit in stock. His ERA is 4.78 and 75 plus innings at high A this year. So he hasn't broken through to the double A level. A lot of people thought he had a really special fastball coming into pro ball, and actually it's been much more hittable, especially if he's not getting it at the top of the zone. If he loses a little bit of command, which is what he's done, and it's sitting more in the middle of the zone, guys have touched it. I mean, I think the swing and miss rate for it has been around 16%. Normally in fastballs, you would hope for a good one, it's in like the mid 20s. So that's certainly a question mark. He's got a slider, cutter, curveball, cutter that have all shown progress and can be potential above average to plus pitches. He's somebody who's like worked on his delivery a lot. It's got a really short arm action to him. I think he's still a work in progress in that way. And I think he actually offers kind of the other way from Ianson, a buy low opportunity for the O's, that they can really put their own stamp on him and realize like, okay, we need to work on some things. Let's work on that together and maybe get him back into a top 100 prospect, because that's what he was back in the spring.
Someone would ask if the Orioles have the ability to put their stamp on a pitcher, but I'll save that commentary for another day. Sam, let me go back, because something that you said about Ianson really is important to me, because I think some of the difficulty we're having with what the Orioles did, again, it looks like, to your point, they got a really good return for Adley Rutschman. At the same time, it's hard to figure out, okay, but these look like low-level prospects. When is the timeline? You're suggesting Ianson could be a factor going into 2027?
It's certainly a possibility.
Okay.
I mean, he's somebody who's been at Double A for a little while now. And once you're at Double A, I think the conversation always starts, right? Like, there are guys who could skip Triple A. Now, I think that's a little bit more difficult on the pitching side, because Triple A has ball. You want to see how this stuff is going to play with that actual baseball in your hand. So I would want him to see Norfolk maybe before this year is out. But he has this success. Like, it's certainly there. And I think the quality of the breaking balls could get batters out right now. So, yeah, you could hear whispers of him, like, being in the competition in spring. It wouldn't shock me if he goes back to Norfolk just to get a longer look at that level. But I think a first half debut in 2027 is absolutely at least in the conversation right now.
That is significant. That is, I mean, it's something that I hadn't considered, and obviously would at least change the timeline, because I think the other part of the conversation that we're having is, are these prospects more valuable to the Orioles for the Orioles, or are they more valuable in loading up the farm again to go try to make the moves that you need to make in order to be a contender next year? Again, provided there is a next year, right? Because I realize that is a complicated conversation. In looking at the timelines, like, do you feel strongly one way or the other about what the benefit is to the Orioles?
I think given the types of players that they acquired for the most part. You're talking about Iance and Michael Ferret, who is back in the organization, right? Like he was traded away in the offseason in the Shane Baz deal. He's now back in a move with the Rays straight up for Tyler Wells. I think part of the reason they got him is because he is major league adjacent. He's been at AAA for a little bit now. He's got a kitchen sink approach. Everything's moving different directions. He can kind of go east west. The pair of fastballs with not special velocity, but like the four seamer's getting a lot of swing and miss right now at the AAA level because batters are trying to think about what's coming and they're not always expecting the four seamer. So Ferret's somebody who is, I think, helpful in that short term, right? He will absolutely be in the rotation conversation going into next spring. Maybe even by the tail end of this year, we'll see how his first couple starts go with Norfolk. But then, Witherspoon, maybe if he bounces back and is stock back up towards the end of the year, maybe that's somebody you look to flip again and just be like, hey, look, he's fixed. Like he has value again. Andy Azakar, who they also got from the Red Sox. He's more of a long-term project, right? 19-year-old outfielder who's only reached high A. Jamnardo Reyes, who they got from Dean Kramer. That's another long-term project. He's 18 years old and only is at single A right now. It's certainly a bulkier farm, and if you want to take that long-term view, it's easier to believe in the quality and the long-term outlook of the Orioles system, but this is not a team that should be rebuilding right now.
But
I think
that's the part. Sam Dykstra is with us. What you just said is what we're struggling with, right? Like if these were the returns they were getting when years back when we knew a rebuild was coming, I think there would be a little bit more of a all right, like this is a great starting point. And obviously, like they traded Manny Machado once upon a time, and all they had to show for it was Dean Kramer. Until now, he's gone. The tricky part is. Okay, but that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to be resetting. You've got Basayo right. and Alonso and Baz and Bradish now signed. Like there is a core here. Gunner's only here for a couple more years, if he plays well. Jackson Holiday, you've got the core. You're supposed to be winning now. I think the other part of it is maybe there is an in-between here, which is perhaps these aren't specifically the prospects that you trade, but maybe it makes it easier to consider trading other prospects because you have kind of fortified the system and now have some replacements if you are instead dealing a De Leon, a Herman, or something like that as you're looking for pieces this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the pitching part of this, right? Like Joseph Zerwa is on our top 100 now.
Yeah. He
was the clear top pitching prospect in the org going into yesterday. Now that's Anthony Ianson. Caden Hunter was kind of a pop-up name, but now he's in that discussion with Ferret and Witherspoon. In that next tier, the pitching is certainly bulked up now. And I think they would be dealing from more of a place of strength if they were to move any of these names that we've mentioned from the pitching group, rather than if you moved Zerwa or Hunter, you look at it, Aaron, if they were to move to either of them who have actual value going into the offseason.
You referenced Ferret a second ago. Mike Elias last night tried to sell the idea that Ferret could be ready now at the major league level. In looking at his AAA numbers, his AA numbers were exceptional. His AAA numbers have not been very good. And even when he got, like you can say, hey, 2 of the first 3 starts were brutal and that inflated his ERA. But then when he brought his ERA down last month, his whip was basically 2. Is there something I'm missing when I look at his AAA numbers? You described him as major league adjacent. Just how close is he to being a factor? Because I'm confused about trading Tyler Wells, but I do understand the value of a starting pitching prospect that you have full control over.
Yeah, I think for Ferret, like I was saying earlier, I mean, the big thing for me is that he just has so many options with which to attack batters. It's tough to hone in on one pitch and be like, well, this is clearly what the best pitch for him is. He's going to keep pitchers guessing. I think last year we were talking about it more of being the era of he's absolutely a king of that, given that he has 5, 6, maybe even 7 pitches to work with here. You look at the AAA numbers, yes, I get it. It's an ERA of 4.89, but he's still striking out 46 batters in 38 2/3. Like, I think he's a run of about 2 to 3 good starts away from really, I won't say forcing Baltimore's hand, but being like, okay, clearly this guy is ready. Let's give him a look just to get that kind of, and this is another thing that's been in vogue in recent years, getting a guy just a quick cup of coffee at the end of the year, knowing what the major leagues look like, sending you into the offseason with that experience so that you can build on it, get some feedback from major league hitters to, tinker with your arsenal, or at least understand what it's going to be like for a fresh start in 2027.
Is that at all complicated by, I believe, is the story that if there's a work stoppage, anyone on the 40-man roster would not be able to participate in the minor leagues next year? Is that a complication to making some of these decisions right now?
That's a good question. I haven't asked as much about that. I think you have to operate as if games are starting day one. Like, you don't want to hold a guy back from making, his major league debut.
I referenced him. It feels like this is the kid that didn't do his homework on Wednesday night, hoping it was going to be a snowstorm, right? Because like all the weather people said there's going to be snow, and then you wake up the next morning, or maybe someone a little bit older in college who got drunk the night before, and there's no snow on the ground when you wake up, and oh crap, like I really screwed this up a little bit.
Yeah, no, I would. If I were a major league team, I would operate as if you're going to have an opening day 2027. I certainly hope there will be. Make the right moves for your organization right now, especially if, like Fred, like I said, if he makes 2 or 3 really solid starts in Norfolk and is looking really good, I wouldn't hold him back. Like, you're going to just anger the prospect going into the offseason. That's not good for anybody.
You mentioned Jamnardo Reyes. He's 18 years old. You look at him and you say, hey, boy, the numbers are really good, but it's an 18-year-old in the Florida Gulf Coast League. Is there anything that we can say about that, or do we essentially say we have no idea? It's kind of just like some magic beans.
I mean, it's always going to be a lottery ticket when he is that young, right? I mean, there are some really good traits here. We have him at 55 power on that 20 to 80 scale, which is above average. The exit velocities have been good. It might be 60 power, which is plus power by the time he gets to full maturity. It's average to maybe even above average speed. So there's a lot of tools to dream on here, which for like Dean Kramer, I think is a pretty good get back. And again, we were talking about earlier, like it's still a little bit early in runway in terms of development, because he's only 1 year out of the draft. Reyes being only 18, like, you have a lot of time to make that guy into what you want. And if he's off to this promising start, and he's trimmed a little bit off his strikeout rate since coming stateside compared to where he was at last year in the DSL, there's a lot of arrows pointing up with that guy, and that's the type of prospect you want to acquire.
Sam, before I let you go, look, Enrique Bradfield has had a difficult path. He's been hurt a lot. He has not hit, and we knew that was going to be a concern when the Orioles drafted him, is how capable he was going to be of hitting. He's been healthy this year, and he has hit a little bit. The Orioles' outfield picture is bleak. I mean, it's bleak. Hopefully Dylan Beavers becomes the guy they think he can be. We're now a few years into this with Colton Cowser, and he's just not becoming a consistent major league bat. Is Enrique Bradfield a factor again? Is it plausible to believe him to be capable of being an everyday major league player, or are there still too many questions for you about the bats?
There's just too many questions for me, I think. Like, especially in the power department, it's really tough to carry a guy who's maybe going to slug 370 in the major leagues. I know the defense is going to be elite. I know the base running is going to be elite. There are other ways for him to be valuable. I just, he's 24 years old now, and the power has just not come around, nor that you would really expect it to, given his 5'11" frame. I still think of him at best as like a fourth outfield type. He's not going to be an outfield savior unless something really turns around here. It's like you said, like, he has battled injuries in the past. Saw him in the fall league last year. He got hot at times there, made some of the best catches I've ever seen out there. That was wowing folks left and right. But I just think, like, you want some level of impact at the plate, and he's just not going to be the guy to bring it.
Sam, what can we plug for? I know it's a busy week for you guys. What all can we plug?
Yeah, just honestly check out MLB.com/pipeline. I mean, we've got tons of deadline write-ups. I wrote up the top 25 prospects who got traded, many of which we talked about here today, went to the Orioles system. My colleague Jonathan Mayo wrote up the best hauls at the trade deadline. I'm going to be recapping the trade deadline on the show before the show, the official podcast of minor league baseball, later this week. So tune in for that. It's a busy time, but we're going to be going right into re-rank season after this. We're incorporating the draft picks into the top 30s later in August and redoing the top 30s completely. So it's a fun, exciting time. Keep an eye out for that at MLB Pipeline.
Do you have a sense of where Booth is going to be on that list?
I think one of the biggest debates we're going to have is who is the top prospect for the Orioles now. Is it Ianson or is it Booth? I think both of those guys are going to fit pretty comfortably in the top 100. It's just who comes out in front of the other. And that's a fun debate, and it's going to be a fascinating debate. I don't have an answer for you now, so I guess just check in a few weeks.
At Sam Dykstra, MILB is how you give him a follow. Sam, really appreciate you taking time on a busy day. Thanks so much for doing this. Let's talk again soon, all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Sam Dykstra with us here on GCR. And again, as we keep saying, I'll tell you, Sam Dykstra suggesting that Anthony Ianson is a factor early next year is maybe the most encouraging thing that I have heard, because in just looking at where they are, it came away to me like, okay, well, you're going to probably want another year of Ianson. Like the closest any of these guys would be Ianson 2028, maybe like a late season cameo next year when I was looking at all of this. So his confidence, like him suggesting it could be opening day, but then saying, yeah, maybe you give him a little bit more, but suggesting that it's early, that is notable in trying to make peace with, is there a plan here? And I continue to acknowledge that other pieces that were acquired could be part of a broader strategy for acquiring major league help. And if I wanted to defend Mike Elias, not that I necessarily do, but if I wanted to, you could say, well, he can't, in the same way that Mike Elias last Friday said, well, might not be in either bucket, buyers or sellers, and as it turns out, they were head first directly into one bucket. If I'm going to offer defense of Mike Elias, last night he said, look, guys, I can't be honest with you. I can't have teams around baseball know that I'm trying to sell. Because then if they do, the offers might not be that great. Oh, just go get the Orioles. They're dumping right now. Don't make a big offer for Trevor Rogers. Offer less. You can tell they're just trying to get rid of players. So I'll defend Mike Elias specifically.
I'll clip that part, just that part.
Yeah, I'll defend him. I'll defend Mike Elias specifically for, if you're mad that he lied on Friday, I can't get mad about it. Look, it's a more complicated conversation that I've had about the Ravens over the years. If there's a microphone in front of you, there tends to be some theater involved. It's far more difficult to do reporting. And in the same way that a lot of you have doubt, Trevor Rogers told you he's not signing. And I've heard from some, yeah, but I don't think he really meant that. I just think he meant like that's where we are. We just don't we don't take anybody for their word. Now, my Trevor Rogers thing is far less about him saying it and far more about that's just how baseball works. When a player is this close to free agency and going to get paid. Yes, I recognize that Yennier Cano signed, but Yennier Cano is a reliever. He's not going to get what Trevor Rogers is going to get on the open market. When someone is this close to free agency and set to make a lot of money, they just don't sign. So my gut tells me that Trevor Rogers is being honest. I think my bigger, you know what, let's take a break because we haven't taken a break yet. We're going to have to take two. Damn it. We talked to Buck. Look, I'm going to give you my bigger, you want a bigger takeaway feeling, I'll offer that. And I'll respond because I've seen all of you getting in this morning, and I'm sorry we were talking to Buck Showalter, and no disrespect. We like him more. You guys are great.
Wow. Over John and Little Rock?
Even John and Little Rock, close personal friend, but so is Buck Showalter. So it's what it is. Love you guys. I'll respond to you guys as well as we continue along here on GCR.
Don't fumble your fantasy football draft. Host your party at Sports and Social Inside Live Casino. We've got everything you need to make the night a winner with massive screens, cool drinks, great food, and Wi-Fi that won't drop the ball. Reserve your table by August 20th to enter our early draft bonus drawing. Draft like a pro at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
This is Byron Warnkin. If you've been injured in a car or truck crash, you probably know this is stressful. Medical bills, the insurance company giving you the runaround, you got to get your car fixed. You don't just need a lawyer, you need results. At Warnkin LLC, we represent the injured across Maryland. Whether it's a car or truck crash case, medical malpractice, or any other serious personal injury, we fight for maximum compensation for you and maximum ease for you. You don't want to have to deal with this stuff. Warnkin LLC has been voted best personal injury law firm in Maryland for a reason. For us, 443 Results isn't just a phone number, it's our mission. Get the advocate that you need. Call us today, 443 Results, or visit us online, warnkinlaw.com. That's WARNKENLAW.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
When you feel invisible, exhausted, stressed, or anxious, when you have days that just feel too hard to get through, you are not alone. If you or someone you love is struggling with mental health or problems with drugs or alcohol, help is right in your hands. Call or text 988 to get support whenever you need it. Help is here. Call or text 988. Brought to you by Maryland Department of Health.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR. Let me go through this is my strongest opinion that I can offer. My strongest opinion is what I told you in the lead up to the deadline is really what I felt. And I think that my frustration, as I said before, is far less about the fact that the Orioles traded Adley Rutschman. Again, to many of your chagrin, my Adley Rutschman that I remember, like, people were getting frustrated. I remember, like, was it a month and a half ago, I looked at Griffin and I said, Griffin, are you going to share an opinion about this? And you're like, I just don't want to think about it. I don't operate that way. As everyone knows, anything that's plausible, I'm going to discuss. I have been, yesterday I was in a text thread with people at WBAL, a reputable news station of record in town.
Until they hired.
Right, that's a great point. They did make that questionable decision. But I was the one who had to say, don't talk about any of this nonsense related to Jackson Holiday. There were so many we give too much breath to non-reputable things. There are people that are very thinly either, are completely fake or just made up accounts or accounts of just people, or very thinly baseball connected people yesterday that were banging Jackson Holiday drums. And the best you ever got was, like, Mark Feinsand said, well, yeah, I mean, the Padres may have made a call about him. There was never any actual legitimate reporting that suggested the Orioles were truly walking down the Jackson Holiday road. that doesn't.
Is that a song? Should we break out?
Jackson Holiday Road. The best we ever had was Jeff Passan. Thank you. Jeff Passan saying they took phone calls. Now, there's no doubt in my mind that at some point that did occur. But WBAL, a news station of record, it's one thing for you on the internet to say, hey, I saw this tweet. It's another thing for a station of record, a news entity, to give it breath. And I spent my day saying this does not deserve breath. The Adley Rutschman stuff always deserved breath. Because, again, it's like what I'm saying about Trevor Rogers. We can do this math. If Adley Rutschman hasn't signed, it's probably not because the Orioles didn't want him to sign. And if he hasn't, they have to look at what his value is and compared to what it might be a year from now. They have no choice but to look at it. If the Orioles had traded Adley Rutschman for peanuts, then I'd probably be furious about that. They didn't need to do that. And they didn't need to trade him for what they got, but you can understand it. But whatever my feeling is about that, I do believe they should have also been more aggressive in trying to add pieces. And yes, I am aware that they added, who's the outfielder, the AAA outfielder from the Nationals?
Christian something?
It's not Christian Watson. That's the receiver in Green Bay. But for some reason, I want to call him Christian Watson. Christian
Yes.
Franklin.
And that came to me. I didn't even look it up. As I was typing, I was like, it's Franklin.
And Reese Hines and other guys that have played in the major leagues before. But these are Austin Slater thinks these are fringe pieces. My opinion, which is worth about as much as this weirdo who always goes on about the fact that I wear his hats in the comments and thinks he's making hilarious jokes about Caddyshack. My opinions are that they should have been aggressive the other way too. And it is plausible that they attempted to be. The thing that we said yesterday where you look at the Blue Jays and you say, isn't that what the Orioles should have done? Move your pending free agent, acquire. Is Jose Soriano as bankable a commodity as Kevin Gausman is? I don't think so. Now, his talent level might be that great, but he hasn't been that good that consistently or in big games or anything like that. If I was a team that was trying to compete right now, I'd prefer to have Gausman, in a vacuum, just one or the other, no context provided. Would you rather have Gausman starting tonight or Soriano starting tonight? I'd prefer Gausman. But the scenario where you have more control of Soriano and you move on from Gausman, that combination made a lot of sense to me. That's my opinion, what I think the Orioles should have been doing. You want to move on from Adley Rutschman? All good. What are you doing to help this team? And yes, I'm sure Christian Franklin will have like a week where he plays really good baseball, and we're all like, oh, and you doubted Christian Franklin. I still don't know what Christian Encarnacion Strand is going to end up being.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe it's just Christian.
Yeah. By the way, he had a really big hit last week. It was the only hit he had last week.
They didn't play him quite as much.
I understand. But I don't know that Christian Encarnacion Strand is the savior that we kind of all wanted him to be because he had a hot couple of weeks. Maybe he ends up being Ryan O'Hearn. Or maybe he ends up being Leody Taveras, who for a couple of weeks we say, yo. And then a couple of weeks later we say, yo. I'm hip. I'm with the.
I know. I was
you know me.
Wow. I was like, I don't even know if I want to give that.
You know me. I think my opinion is that the Orioles should have done more the other way. Because that would help me feel more confidence that they believe there is. That's another thing. There's a regular listener who hates when I say there. He hates it. Like there's some weird. There are people that hate that I say folks and pronounce the L.
Folks.
I do that. It's a bit. It's a bit.
Bengals.
That's one for you. You love to say Bengals. You love to say Bengals.
The right way?
No, definitely not the right way.
Because I don't say
you
Bengals.
love to say Bengals.
They're the Bengals.
They're not the Bengals. They're the Bengals. It's like there's no A involved. The Bengals.
They're the Bengals. What do I say?
We've done this before. We can't do it again. We can't.
This
is for a day where there's no news. This is for a day we can't even spend time on Zay Flowers because there's so much to do. That's one of my things.
Christian Flanker's joining the roster immediately, by the way. So.
Sure. I mean, they don't have any outfielders. Hard to
Beavers and Cows.
Right, thank you.
Tavares.
They are players that
Tyler
play
O'Neill.
in the outfield. You are right. They are guys on the team that run around in the outfield. I think they should have done more. Now, I hope that this group somehow figures it out anyway, and that Gunnar Henderson, there's still a Gunnar Henderson in there somewhere. I'm not counting on it. Got way too much of a track record for me to make plans around it, but I hope that happens. And then I hope that the Orioles use their now fortified farm system to go acquire outfielders and legitimate frontline pitching this offseason. I hope they win the bidding war for Trevor Rogers, but don't convince themselves that they have an ace. I hope, this is what I was talking about with the Rogers, Scooble thing last week. I hope they understand they need to go. I want them to bid on Tarek Skubal. That's what I want them to do. If they do some of these things in the offseason, if there is an offseason, if there is a season, then we're going to have a different conversation. But right now, without them making any additions of note, it is very difficult. It's less about this season being a wash and more that you're making it harder for me to see the path for 2027. You're making it tougher for me to believe that you're a year away. And then the next question becomes, if they're about this and Gunnar Henderson gets off to a good start next year, are you just dealing away Gunnar Henderson? Is this just eternally what this is? When is it going to be now? When is it going to be liftoff from here? Because it hasn't been for the last 4 years. And that's not that there weren't good moments. Signing Pete Alonso was a good thing. Trading for a year of Corbin Burns was a good thing. But that's individual moves spread 2 years apart. At no point was there this is the moment. We're doing the damn thing. And you're going to have to do the damn thing this offseason to present a realistic scenario by which we can believe you are legitimate contenders to win a championship. Bunch of different stuff that's come in today. And it's kind of all over the place, so I'll do my best. And I apologize that I'm only getting to all of it now. Dave, the new Orioles magic. Watch our players disappear right before your eyes. I get the bit. Again, this is tough because I can justify I hate it. I say I hate it. I made a video about this yesterday, and we don't want to talk about it. It's easier to say things like, well, the Orioles let Adley Rutschman down. And to an extent, they did. They failed to surround Adley Rutschman and this group of core players with the pieces that were necessary in order to turn them into World Series winners. But can we be honest? Are we in the trust tree? I love Adley Rutschman. Adley Rutschman let the Orioles down too. And I don't know that it's more one or the other. Like, I have more venom for the way the Orioles let Adley Rutschman down because I think it was right in front of you. It was there. You saw it, and you failed to capitalize on it. But I can't blame Mike Elias specifically for Adley Rutschman getting here, succeeding, and then suddenly forgetting how to baseball for the better part of 2 years. And the part that we don't want to talk about is that since like May of this year, Adley Rutschman's hit .219. Yes, Adley Rutschman was a better version of himself in 2026. But was he a superstar?
I guess it just really comes down to the health thing. Like, it seemed like when he was healthy,
Yeah.
he was Adley Rutschman. And,
Yeah, you can say that.
and that is part of the conversation.
I don't like doing this because it feels like I'm piling on Adley Rutschman. But it's the same. Adley Rutschman is part of the problem here. We're not any longer. He was part of the problem here. It's tough. It's not fun to talk about, but it's true. Adley Rutschman let the Orioles down too. And even when he was a really good player, we define that based on the fact that, they won. And we kind of looked at the date. Remember, he came up at Preakness. By July, everything about the Baltimore Orioles had changed. Everything. Adley Rutschman walked hand in hand with winning. Some of it was watching him work counts. Some of it was watching a nondescript pitching staff. We gave Adley Rutschman credit for Kyle Bradish, right? The numbers never said Adley Rutschman was a superstar, but he was a good player at a position where it's difficult to have superstars. The truth is, we all know Adley Rutschman, in hindsight, wasn't the best player the Orioles could have taken. He was a really good one. Hang on, I actually have the list of players selected in 2019. Where do you think Adley Rutschman is in WAR?
Oh. I mean, I guess Bobby Witt's played more than him.
I have to thank my friend Patrick Stevens who compiled it for me.
Of course he did. Is it something visual I could share? Or I'll say... I can't remember. Am I allowed to look up the rest of the 2019 draft? I don't remember the 2019 draft. Bobby Witt for sure.
Just for the sake of guess. Yes, Bobby Witt is obviously the WAR leader from the 2019 draft. Just guess a number where he is.
Okay. Fifth.
Fifth is exactly right. Look at you. Did Patrick send you this tag?
I watch baseball.
Bobby Witt, number 1. Not surprisingly either, despite the year he's having. Gunnar Henderson, number 2.
Okay. Yeah,
Corbin Carroll, number 3. Michael Harris, number 4. Adley Rutschman, number 5. Just ahead of C.J. Abrams. Now, if I had to bet, when it's all said and done, C.J. Abrams will probably surpass Adley Rutschman on this list, but, things are crazy. The other guys that are 10-plus WAR guys from that draft.
Good draft.
Riley Green, 7th. Shea Langoliers, 8th. Bryson Stott, 9th. Hunter Brown, 10th. Those are your top 10 from the 2019 draft. Thank you to my friend Patrick Stevens for compiling it for me. He wasn't a generational talent. He was a good baseball player. And there will be number 1 overall picks that will be nowhere near as good as Adley Rutschman. There have been number 1 overall picks that will be nowhere near as good as Adley Rutschman, but we wanted him to be generational. And what he is a good player. And that has hurt the Orioles as well. And by the way, that could be an indictment on Mike Elias, right? Like, you could go back and say, hey, man, when you've had those high picks, how many of them have really turned out? Those super early picks. Adley Rutschman's been a good player. Obviously, Heston Kjerstad has not. I mean, I guess there's still a chance, but he hasn't been really a major leaguer at all. Colton Cowser was a top 10 pick. That has not panned out. Other than, again, 2 incredible months. Maybe 3 really good weeks earlier this year. Was it 3 weeks in May that Colton Cowser was really good, or was it more like 2 weeks?
Might have been closer to 2.
Yeah.
We could say 3, though.
Jackson Holiday, we're hoping. So if you want an indictment on... Now, the baseball draft is very difficult. It's not like, the basketball, the football draft. So if that was your track record in one of those other sports, you'd definitely be gone. You can't overcome that. But in baseball, it's more complicated. And, Gunnar Henderson was a great pick where you took him. Was a phenomenal pick. But that's part of this conversation about Adley Rutschman. We can be mad about it, but we're really mad about the totality of it. This is maybe there was a number by which Adley Rutschman would have been willing to sign. Maybe it wasn't even like a no way, no how. Let's just say that's what it was. If that number is significantly more than like the Will Smith number, are you comfortable with that? Has Adley Rutschman warranted that? And for the record, I don't have any reason. It seems like it's more of a Adley's just going to free agency, and if you wanted to sign him, and it's also part of the complication of it. When the Orioles had a chance to sign Adley Rutschman, they had a different ownership group that didn't do those things. They had a chance to sign Adley Rutschman the way that they signed Samuel Basallo. The problem was the ownership group at that point wasn't giving out those types of contracts.
And we're giving out contracts, period.
For the most part. I mean, they gave Chris Davis a contract. It's not like they didn't give any, but
10 years ago, yeah.
Like they definitely didn't buy out arbitration years.
You're right, they signed Alex Cobb. Yeah.
They did. As we turned to a huge number. Much bigger number than we remembered it being. These things matter. Maybe this ownership group would have signed Adley Rutschman then. And he'd still be 3 more years past next year, so still 4 more years away from free agency. But that didn't happen. And now, I think the most likely scenario is Adley Rutschman's team just said, guys, make whatever offer you want to make. We're just going to go find out what the market has to say. That's the more likely scenario.
Were they doing the math and saying, I mean, I guess they were making it work this season, but you had Pete Alonso at first base, Basallo. They just didn't want to keep DHing and catching Basallo.
But it's super awkward that then they come out. Mike Elias openly says last night, we don't think Basallo's a full-time catcher.
Yeah. So all he can do is DH.
I think around base. Now again, Mike Elias might say, guys, remember, I can never tell the truth, right? Like I can't do it. But it's really weird.
Is that him saying, just never interview me
when
again?
You have the opportunity to say, we believe this is our guy, put your flag down. The first chance you have, you say, yeah, we don't really think of Samuel Basallo like that. It's just not the way that we view him. That's a weird... It's a hell of a thing. John Little Rock, I'm not even remotely upset with the trades. I'm upset that for the time being, the current GM gets another shot at a rebuild. He doesn't deserve it after his failure to get the first one successful. The organization is so clueless and out of touch with the city and the fan base. They got free state taxpayer money for all their upgrades, and the local businesses are not investing in them. They better crank out the shirts, bobbleheads, and gimmicks to get people to come next season. This season is done. Elias and company take no accountability. A lot there, John, some of which I think is totally fine. Like the public money thing, that's just sort of the way that sports work. Like this notion that there's a whole lot of owners that are just like doing happily. No, you guys don't have to give us a thing. It'll just be a gift. I mean, that is just kind of how sports work now because there are places that are willing to do it. And the threat of losing the team is significant. I don't know how people in St. Louis, maybe right now people in St. Louis are like, you know what? The hell with it. Our lives are just fine without football. I don't know how they feel.
I think I'm sure they miss it.
I mean, it'd be really difficult for what I do for a living. I don't know. It would definitely impact me directly.
The city, St. Louis was one of the stops that I had on my little road trip.
Mm-hmm. Did you go up in the Arch?
No, we didn't have time for the Arch. I did go one time when I was younger.
I've never been.
Very cool.
I've never been to the Arch.
It was very neat.
Yeah.
It was like a ghost town. It was weird. It was eerie. Like there's just not a whole ton of.
I don't know that a football team is going to change that.
I mean, I guess you're right, but like it's like people. Our friend of ours who lived there, he said that it was kind of like when the Rams left, people started leaving the city.
The soul has been sucked out.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thought.
Busch Stadium's really nice.
I get the point though. I get the point. Like, do we know there's accountability? I remember the night that we got the news of the David Rubenstein sale. Like I was over on 105.7 at that point, and the news happened. It was so uncomfortable. They were doing whatever Tim Barbalace's like football thing, whatever his show was called at the time. And like the news happens in the middle of that show.
Oh, I think I might have been working too. Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah, it was like late January, right?
That sounds right.
I think I was doing Tim's show. Yeah.
It was like 6:30.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
I've heard
the middle of football daily or what. It's not a shot. Everybody knows I love Tim. Everybody knows that's my guy.
Gosh,
It's
what was
not.
it
I just
called?
don't know
should
what it's called.
called.
But the point is, like, we get this news, and now we're sitting in there getting ready to do our show, and we're like, all right, well, the hell with that. All we're gonna do for a couple of hours is take phone calls about new ownership. And I remember Rita and some of the callers being mad at me because I didn't just throw a parade. I said, hey, by the way, when we're talking about like private equity, I still need to know more. Now, when that was quickly followed up with the news of the Corbin Burns trade, I changed my tune. I suddenly said, you know what? New days are upon us. But on the whole, I don't know what to make of the ownership group's commitment to winning versus profit or potential collusion with other owners going into a CBA agreement. I don't know. They've definitely made some moves, but on the whole, has it been dramatically different? I don't know that I can say that. I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning that. And how hell-bent are you that this results in a championship versus making money and being good enough that you think enough people are going to come out and there'll be enough support and interest that it's profitable? I can't answer that question. I can't. The results don't answer that question. That's the reality. Yes, you have something?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I mean, by all means, if you think I'm from Bruce, can Buck come back and be our GM and have Mike Schilt or BJ Suroff as our manager?
Or Brady as our manager.
Old school, we need more old school Buck come back. I don't think those days are going to occur again. Now, again, how I feel about it. There's somebody on Blue Sky who's angry that we put Buck on. This dinosaur. I'm like, what? Dude, what are... I think that's just someone who wants attention. I think that's all that is. D.O., we've only had...
They're making a good point.
Yeah, we've only had 2 players that have played more than 100 games this season. I mean, there's going to be more than that by the time the year is over, but yes. Like, that point about posting is relevant. From Mike, it's simply a business move that driven by the players, free agency, small markets will always... Do we have a connectivity problem? Did we get knocked off?
Are we knocked off?
I don't. I think our YouTube came to an end. Oh, that would be a shame on a day like today. Indeed, the YouTube definitely came to an end. I don't know what it is on other medias. I don't know what it looks like there, but we will be able to get the full show up briefly, and we don't have a whole lot left at this point, so that's the good news. But that, damn, of all the days for something like that to occur. Anyway.
Yep, looks like we are off on video.
We got a recording. It'll be up, the whole thing. What we'll do is we'll just come back in and we'll just wrap it up. That's the way that we'll go about doing it. I didn't have a whole lot more to say. I think we've said basically everything we needed to say about it. So we'll come back in, tidbit tubular, wind things down. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
This is Stan the Fan. You know we talk all the time about our O's stepping up in the big moments, delivering when it matters most. If you've been injured in a car accident anywhere around Baltimore, that's your big moment, and you need someone who delivers. That's why I'm here to tell you about Warnken Injury Lawyers. They fight for Baltimore families every single day. Insurance companies play games. Warnken plays to win. So call 443-RESULTS. That's 443-RESULTS, or go to warnkenlaw.com. When you need results, it's right there in the number, 443-RESULTS.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery, because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
When you feel invisible, exhausted, stressed, or anxious, and you have days that just feel too hard to get through, you are not alone. If you or someone you love is struggling with mental health or problems with drugs or alcohol, help is right in your hands. Call or text 988 to get support whenever you need it. Help is here. Call or text 988. Brought to you by Maryland Department of Health.
Don't fumble your fantasy football draft. Host your party at Sports and Social Inside Live Casino. We've got everything you need to make the night a winner with massive screens, cool drinks, great food, and Wi-Fi that won't drop the ball. Reserve your table by August 20th to enter our early draft bonus drawing. Draft like a pro at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Pressbox is available now. On the cover, Dave LaMonaco profiles Orioles play-by-play voice Kevin Brown, looking at his rise as an amiable mainstay and one of the top voices in all of baseball. Also inside, Antonio Barbera looks at whether the championship window is narrowing for the Ravens veteran core. And our special travel section with a look at sports tourism options throughout Maryland for you and your family to enjoy this summer. Pressbox is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region, including your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we wind down for a Tuesday edition of the program. Today's show has also been brought to you by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour. Stan and his hip were working overtime last night. If you missed he and Ross Grimsley breaking it down, the Orioles trade deadline action, then you can find it. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan Show is brought to you by Warnken Law and the Costas Inn with two great locations, the OG in Dundalk, the new one in Timonium. You're not going to do well with either one of these. I did not get to go to trivia last night because I was hosting the trade deadline show on WBAL. Because I met you.
What? You don't even know me.
You're going to go 0 for 2.
No, I'm not.
You might get one of them. You might.
Yeah, that's right.
And in fact, I'll tell you that I'm not going to tell you anything else. You're just going to have to. 2 sports questions of trivia last night. They did not do well without me there. What number that is more closely associated with New York Yankee Joe DiMaggio can also be associated with the signers of the Declaration of Independence?
With the signers.
What number that is more closely associated with New York Yankee Joe DiMaggio can also be associated with the signers of the Declaration of Independence?
So it's the number of home runs he hit, and I guess that's the same number of people that signed the Declaration of Independence. So 61.
You think Joe DiMaggio hit 61 home runs in his career?
No, with the.
You think he had a 61 home run season?
It was that. Yeah.
You think Joe DiMaggio had a 61 home run season?
Was it? It was Mantle. It was Mantle and Maris.
Definitely wasn't Mantle. It was
Maris.
Roger Maris.
I thought one of the other guys was also like
Roger Maris broke Babe Ruth's home run record. Home runs. Babe Ruth was the one who held the single season home run record.
60.
Roger Maris
hit 61. I thought one of the DiMaggios or Mantles was on that chase with Maris.
Mantle was like
okay.
Yeah,
so
but Mickey Mantle did not hit 61 home runs.
Okay. Oh, the hit streak, 56.
Hey,
56. That was my answer the whole time. I just wanted to talk about the home run. The home run thing.
Mickey Mantle hit 54 home runs in that season.
Gotcha.
Yes, the answer is, of course, 56, which is the number of signers Declaration of Independence. For what it's worth,
Kind of
when they sent it to me, I was in a commercial break during the show, and I looked down and I thought, Joe DiMaggio wore the number 5.
Right, I know. That's what I
There's
was
more than
as
5
well.
signers declaration. And then it quickly struck me.
Well, then I was like, are they going with
56.
the year 75 or 76 or something? I was like, no.
The other one that you will also not get, participating in the 1960.
I got the last one.
If you were allowed to get it wrong first and then get it right, then you're right.
Well, because
But that's
we got
not how
collaborated.
trivia
It
works.
was collaboration.
Participating, I got it. You are right about that. Participating in the 1964 Summer Olympics and a member of the Dallas Cowboys, who is the only person in history to win both an Olympic gold medal and a Super Bowl ring.
What would he have done? What would he have done in the Olympics? Like a track event? You throw the discus?
I can only read you the question, Griffin. Participating in the 1964 Summer Olympics and a member of the Dallas Cowboys, who is the only person in history to win both an Olympic gold medal and a Super Bowl ring.
I don't know.
So it turns out I was completely right in my assessment.
It would have been Staubach. I don't know.
Staubach. Nailed it. They called him Bullet.
Smith.
He is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Rice.
He did run track and field at the 1964 Olympics.
Owens.
I believe won multiple gold medals, if I remember correctly. Hang on a second. Let me see if that's...
Called him Bullet?
He won 2 gold medals, the
receiver.
100-meter dash and the 4x100 relay.
We should bring that back. Have people play do the track and
Bullet Bob
Horner. Hope.
Former Atlanta Braves slugger Bob Horner also. Bullet Bob. It does start with an H. Bullet Bob Hope is great, by the way. Well done. That's what they called him. He was out there speaking to the troops. He was just running everywhere. They called him Bullet Bob
Harlan.
Bullet Bob Harlan.
Bullet Bob Howard.
Hayes. Bullet Bob Hayes.
Bob Hayes. That's what I said.
Yeah, definitely.
So I got both.
Exactly right. I nailed it. How well you were going to do on those. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you by CountySports.Zone. We are just a couple of weeks away from the start of high school football season. Everything you need to know, you can find out. CountySports.Zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com.
All right, let's just, I guess no really preamble needed. Zay Flowers tied for the 4th highest paid based on average money per year.
AAV receiver.
Tied for the 4th highest paid receiver in the NFL.
Yeah. All right. Well, one was, oh God, who just got paid? Oh, there was somebody who just got it was Drake London, right?
Drake London, yes, he is. He's the only one ahead of, so he's one of the 3 ahead of Zay Flowers. Well, because he's tied for 4th.
Oh, right, yeah.
Top 10 are guys all getting paid over $31 million a year.
I don't have a pen. What the hell happens? Got lots of pen questions.
That was a good throw. You should have.
I should have. You're not wrong. I should have made the play. You're 100% right. All right.
London is 3rd, $35.2 million, and then the top 2 are both getting over $40 million.
Yeah. Chase.
Jamar Chase is number 2.
Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson is tied with Zay Flowers, average of $35 million a year, $140 total.
Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb is behind.
Oh, what the?
He's 6th. He is 6th now.
So he's on the list.
He is. If we want to do the top 10, yeah, he's 6th.
Oh, you just wanted the guys in front of him. That's all you.
No, we can do the top 10.
You know what? We don't have to.
No, we'll do the top 10.
No, we don't.
You asked, we'll do it.
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown is in the top 10. He is 9th.
The problem is they have to be current guys.
32 per.
There's just no way around that because that's the way that money works. Oh, JSN.
JSN, $42.1 million a year. Yeah.
So he's number 1.
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
I
Yes,
mean,
he's number 1.
I don't know. Did you notice him go win a Super Bowl? Puka.
Puka has not gotten a deal yet.
He's gotten his deal yet?
No. Which is, I guess, why I guess what makes this good.
Yeah. Go ahead and get that done now.
Yeah.
Metcalf.
DK Metcalf is in the top 10. He is at 32.99999.
999.
Yeah.
So I need 2 more.
You have
7.
Yeah,
London, Chase,
2 more.
Jefferson, Lamb, Brown.
8 and 10 on the list.
8 and 10, you say?
One of them just signed an extension as well.
Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra is 11th. He got knocked out of the top 10 thanks to Zay.
Nico.
Nico is right behind Amon-Ra.
Olave, he signed an extension, right?
Olave is at 31 per year after his new extension with Nolans. He is 10th.
Neighbors hasn't gotten one yet. Who the hell else could it be? Devontae Adams?
Not Devontae Adams.
It's not DJ Moore.
Not DJ Moore. Devontae Adams is at 22 per year. I guess just because he's old.
Did Devontae Smith get a deal that I missed?
No, I mean he did, but he's at 25 a year.
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson
really
is the 8th highest paid wide receiver. $32.5 million
definitely
per
good.
year.
Like,
Yeah,
I don't know
he's
if I
just on a
remembered him
horrible
getting the
team.
deal. Like it's hard for me to remember these guys getting deals.
Must have been last year. I guess.
I believe
Yeah.
you. I believe you. All right, very good. Let's go ahead and get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise this evening. The Orioles do indeed open up. Have they announced, I guess everybody thinks it's Cade Povich that's pitching tonight?
Oh, really? I thought, was it not going to be, when did Rogers pitch?
Rogers is
pitch
pitching
one?
tomorrow.
Oh,
They
he's
announced
pitching
last
tomorrow.
night that Rogers would go tomorrow. I think they put it on the website, but they definitely put it on the PR site that Rogers tomorrow, Young on Thursday. So I know Roster Resource had Povich for tonight.
Then I'll lean that way, I guess.
But obviously it's Grayson Rodriguez on the other side for the Angels, 6:35 on Masson. And let's be honest, that's it. That's all you got.
Hard Knocks, come on.
Oh, that's right. I saw the
21.
clip. Mike McDonald keeps keeps Rex Ryan's criticism of him after the Ravens blew the lead to the Dolphins. The funny part is, like, the clip they put out, he's like, well, he was right. Like, that's the weird part about it. Like, it's like when John Harbaugh got mad at me about Mike McDonald. You were really tough on Mike McDonald. I'm like, right, we all were. Nobody was making a prediction for the future. That was an embarrassing way to lose a game. To be fair, we all also thought Kyle Hamilton stunk that day because he did. That wasn't us saying there's no way Kyle Hamilton will ever be good in the future. There's this, like, weird, if you say anything, you're suggesting that it can never change. Gunnar Henderson is not good right now. I think Gunnar Henderson might be good at some point in the future. It's very weird. Very weird. But Mike McDonald keeps that Rex Ryan criticism on his desk to fuel him. Obviously, it worked. He's really good. What else? Oh, what time? 10 o'clock, I assume?
9, I think.
9.
Let me double check. Hold on.
How about they do that at 10?
It is 9.
Very weird.
Maybe they moved it up. They've been doing their stuff at like 9 now. Whatever HBO's big.
That is weird.
Is at 9. Wizards of Waverly Beyond. Wizards Beyond Waverly Place.
Oh,
series finale.
can't miss
On
that.
Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Special Ops True.
Okay. Thanks today too.
From missions to docuseries about
Buck Showalter.
military operations.
Thanks also to Sam Dykstra. We'll get that up in the greatest hits section of the.
Coleman Domingo and Monica Barbero will be on Fallon tonight.
I love Coleman Domingo. He's phenomenal. Monica, is it Barbero or Barbaro?
Maybe it's Barbero.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. She was in Top Gun. I liked.
Yeah,
her.
she's in that one night singles.
Oh, is she the female lead?
Yeah.
Maybe. I like Coleman Domingo enough, and I think I'm neutral on Monica Barbaro, so I think, yes, I would go to that tour.
I was trying to figure out what Coleman. I don't know what he's plugging, but he was because I
He
just
could
saw
plug
him somewhere.
anything.
I mean,
He's in he's literally in everything.
He was in Disclosure Day.
He was in Michael, and he was in.
Yeah, he was.
He was on
Running
Euphoria
Man,
and
Euphoria.
Like, he's just in everything. But he's very good. He's exceptional.
I agree.
Like, his Joe Jackson, for as sanitized as Michael was, his Joe Jackson was excellent. Like, he's very, very good. Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow on the program, Mike Sando is going to join us. We will talk some football with him. I'm sure he'll share a thought about Zay Flowers, although I don't know what there is to say other than good. It's really hard to have any other
it feels
take.
good, I guess, after they send Adley shipping,
Yeah, I know somebody, because a couple people were saying that in the
by
comments. Like,
comparison.
it's a nice feeling, but like, I just never really feared Zay Flowers. The idea that the Ravens were going to just have no wide receivers, I never really bought that.
So this help with the Lamar restructure
Seems
extension.
like it couldn't hurt. They obviously have a very close relationship. I don't know. But we'll talk to Mike Sando about that, and he also does his QB tiers. As I always say, none of these things matter.
And he hates Lamar Jackson now, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's
well, I guess
the-
obviously
I haven't
he
seen it.
surveys everyone.
I haven't seen it.
Lamar has dropped into tier 2. The 5th QB.
guess-
But now he's in a grouping with that. It also includes like Trevor Lawrence.
I guess we're gonna have
Sam
to.
Darnold.
I guess we're gonna have to fist fight. I guess that's
Sando coming in studio.
yeah,
Yeah,
right. That's what it's gonna have to be. Anything else?
We're gonna do the whole boxing thing, the bell, and that you love.
I loved it. Anything else?
Stuff and things.
Stuff and things.
Baseball.
Thanks everybody at Pressbox. All of
Talk
our
about
great
Orioles win. Buck
Yes.
Showalter said the Orioles make the playoffs. So
Don't count them out. Thanks to all of our great sponsors and partners. Maybe he needs to come out of the bullpen. Or perhaps Alex Hoppy, who's not Alex O. Hoppy. Let me make that very clear because I feel like I'm going to get that wrong at some point in the future. He's going to solve all the problems. All of our great sponsors and partners, Live Casino and Hotel. What a night I had at Live Casino and Hotel on Sunday. I had a great time for Nikki Glazer.
hit it big. Oh, okay.
No. But, Baltimore Orioles, Costas Inn, Leading Edge Auto Body, your Baltimore area Heights Dairy Stores, Warnken Law, 1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org, Cruise Maryland, CountySports.zone, the Maryland Department of Health, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Tuesday evening. Yes, go Birds. Duke sucks.